All right, so this is an overview of what I did for this week. I decided to make the focus, well, we kind of talked about this, making the focus be about research into animal behavior. So I started off with just a couple of animal behaviors to have them watch, get them thinking about behavior causes for behaviors that when the causes can be different, even though there are some similarities in the behavior. So like it's 2 videos of group behavior in minnows, which is going to be the theme for this week anyway. One of them though is caused by predation, and the other one is caused by mating and the presence of some object floating in the ocean. So you kind of have to watch the videos, but really what I want them to do is to name the 2 behaviors, and they may name them something similar because they're both kind of a schooling behavior, or they may name them something different. And then after those videos, and they're I don't know, a few minutes long each. The next section of the digital notebook, I'm thinking of the explore section. I want to focus in on causes. So, and I'm seeing that some of this is a little bit off here, but so just to kind of review what we've been learning so far about causes, that causes come before the behavior, that they're separate from the behavior. So I asked them to predict the internal and external causes for group 1 or for video 1, and internal and external causes from video 2 of the engage slide. In class, I'm going to just make sure they go back to their notes from last week on how causes are, like how we think about causes as either internal or external. I'm imagining that for the first video where they're getting eaten, the internal cause is going to be fear or avoiding getting, a desire to not be eaten or something like that. The external cause is going to be the presence of the predators. In the second video, the internal cause is going to be wanting to mate or to reproduce. The external cause, this is the one that they may miss if they don't watch the video carefully and listen to the narrator, but it's the presence of some kind of like debris floating in the ocean. That's the external cause of it. Actually, if you go watch the whole YouTube video, you see them later on, the fish decide to target the boat, and the boat has to leave because they're so worried that they're going to get like so coated with fish eggs that it's actually going to sink the boat. Anyway, so just kind of reviewing causes again and the idea that they come before. And then I introduce the main topic of this week's work, which is to begin the process of using the scientific method to learn something about an animal's behavior. So I start off with some basics about the scientific method. You guys can read and understand that. Identifying the stages we haven't done yet. So I kind of try to get them to think like when we write ethograms, we're doing observation, we've done question writing, hypothesis, and so on. Then I go back to what we ended with last week, that example of the seagulls, and help them learn how to interpret data to make meaning out of the data so that we can use it to answer questions about the causes of behavior. There's the video link where I explain the background research, like how they set it up. So I explain how the research was conducted and how the data was collected for each of the different parts. Then they're asked to identify something from the experiment other than the first couple, because I do those in the video, that is a cause of pecking and something that is not a cause of pecking. And then down here I talk about, there's a link, you could cue your students into it. I don't care when they watch it, but students commonly get this mixed up. They think that like, oh, there's a bunch of pecking here, so having a black head must be the cause of pecking, which is the wrong way to think about it. When they changed the color of the bird's head, the pecking rate didn't change, which means the color is not part of what triggers it, right? Because you can change it, it can be any color you want, it doesn't matter, right? It can be any shape, you can even cut off the head. The head isn't the cause. How do you know if something's the cause? Well, if you take the cause away, then the behavior goes away. And I just highlight that with my students because I think they often get that mixed up. All right, then we bring it back to minnows again. They're going to open up their own copy of the Google Doc, and then they're going to write an ethogram. Okay, They're going to have to reflect on which stage of the scientific method they just completed. Now, the Google Doc is probably the most significant thing that they'll do. They'll be prompted to make a copy, so you could have them submit this to you as an assignment. I'm going to assess this. There's an introductory video here, but then I'm going to have a separate video for each of these. These are the ones I'm making in class right now. I got my minnows over here. And this is why I'm a little bit behind, because I've been having trouble getting the minnows to cooperate. They weren't very healthy when I got them. So anyway, so I'll get those videos in there before the end of this weekend, though. And basically what I want them to do in the introduction, I show them how to write an ethogram again. I think this is always something you can keep reviewing. I even write one of them for them and show them some video of the minnows doing it. And then I ask them to put... you guys are texting me right now. I asked them to write at least one more behavior that the minnows do when they're not being disturbed in their environment, when they're just kind of at rest. And then there's going to be a video here of me stabbing at them with a ruler, and I want them to come up with categories of behaviors for when they're disturbed, right? Like immediately after some kind of strong disturbance, like being attacked by a fish. And then there's a separate video. There'll be a separate video a few minutes after that where they can record some, like, what are they doing when they've been disturbed recently, but they're no longer being attacked? What do their behaviors look like? And so I'm looking for them to focus on group behaviors. Like, what is the whole group doing? Not to describe an individual minnow. Because for minnows, it's better to think of their behaviors as group behaviors, because most of their behaviors are done as a group. So I'm going to grade this ethogram, but this one is important because this is going to become the foundation of the research that we'll do next week. So then I'm going to record some video, actually, as soon as I'm done here, of me injecting Shrek stuff, and we'll have video of their responses to this chemical compared to their responses to a ruler, and that's what they'll use to write like a claim evidence reasoning statement next week. Let's see. So this, the last thing for this week then is to go into and share their ethogram in a peer review. I don't know how this is going to work. This is something I love doing in class when I'm together with the students, like getting them talking about their ethograms and comparing how they describe behaviors. I just feel like it helps everybody better understand what they're looking at. You guys can decide how you want to manage this. I'm probably going to just assign the ethogram one day in class, and then the next day we meet in class, I'm going to start by just asking who has it done. I don't know yet whether I'm going to assign points to having completed it. I don't know. I'm going back and forth on that. But for those that have completed, I still want to give them the opportunity to engage in peer review. So I'll probably take the ones that are done, put them into groups of 2. The rubric is here. Ask them to read each other's, score it, get their own score feedback, and then give them the rest of the week, however much time is left, if they want to rewrite their ethogram before submitting that for a summative assessment. Okay, so that's for this week. Then next week, and it's a pretty short week because it's a short week, and my students are not moving super fast through this stuff. Next week, they're going to take their ethogram categories and put them into a timed ethogram sheet where they'll record what the minnows are doing each at different time intervals, both when attacked with the ruler and after Shrek stuff. And so that will give us some data about like the magnitude of response to each of those 2 things. And we'll do a little math, maybe graph a little bit, compare that data, and ask them to draw some conclusions about how Shrek stuff affects behavior compared to how an actual, like, directly seen and felt attack affects behavior. So anyway, that's the goal. Please let me know if you have questions.